Joining us from Capitol Hill, member of the Foreign Relations Committee, Republican Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky. And Senator, you have been very vocal in your criticism of some of the options out there that have been floated in the press. I think for the record, we should say not by Donald Trump himself, but John Bolton or Rudy Giuliani as the next Secretary of State. You say no. Why?
Well, you know, one of the things I liked about Donald Trump and one of the reasons I supported him was that he was emphatic that the Iraq war was a mistake and that regime change was a mistake. I mean, the biggest lesson that came out of the last 20, 30 years in the Middle East is that every time we've toppled regimes, we've gotten something worse, and we haven't increased our national security. We've often made our national security more tenuous. I don't think Hillary Clinton ever got that message because she continued to advocate for regime change, but Donald Trump did. It's a big part of what he stood for. It was in thousands of speeches, so I just don't think it would be a good idea for him to appoint somebody to be Secretary of State who completely disagrees with him on this. Bolton is the antithesis. Bolton is so far out there. He's advocating bombing everyone in the world, but Bolton is someone who is an unrepentant supporter of the Iraq war. But I also think Rudy Giuliani is as well, and I think Giuliani's been a friend to Trump, and I'm sure he's going to find a place in the administration, but I just think it would be less damaging if they found a place where he didn't completely disagree with President-elect Trump.
Senator, give us one or two names of people you think would be good secretaries of state that you could recommend here to Donald Trump.
Well, you know, I don't think I get to choose, nor am I being called and solicited my advice. But on the list of ones that have been put out there, I think Bob Corker is a more thoughtful, reasonable, someone who I think comes from the realist point of view in the foreign policy spectrum and would be head and shoulders above both Giuliani and Bolton. And I hope they will consider him. I also know that he would go through the Senate fairly easily. This position has to be approved and only takes a few of us to really put a position like this in jeopardy. But
would you have enough votes between the Democrats and Republicans to stop a John Bolton Secretary of State nomination?
You know, John Bolton's been stopped once before because he's an outlier. He doesn't fit within the mainstream of either parties. And really, you want your chief diplomat to be a diplomat, not a bomb thrower. So someone who is advocating war would probably be, if we still had a Secretary of War, more likely to be a Secretary of War. But yeah, I think every Democrat will vote against Bolton. I can't speak for them, obviously.
What about Rudy Giuliani? Do you think you have enough Republicans and Democrats alike to stop a Rudy Giuliani nomination, especially when you consider all the money that he's received from foreign interests, including an Iranian terror group?
I think that there will be some pointed questions, and I will be part of that, because I think the thing is that one of the big issues of the elections was taking foreign money for Hillary Clinton and being beholden to foreign interests. So yes, it will be a big question, and I will ask those questions. I think also we ask the same questions that we're bringing up with Bolton. Are you still in favor of bombing Iran? Are you, do you understand the Iraq war was a mistake and that regime change has not made us safer? If he doesn't believe that, if he doesn't accept Donald Trump's vision on that, I think another place in the cabinet might be a better fit for him, and that maybe we find somebody that has a more realist point of view. And like I say, I think Senator Corker would fit that role, and is somebody that I think we're already hearing from the Trump team is being considered.
Senator, sticking with foreign policy, let me ask you about Russia. The conservative think tank, the Heritage Group, came out yesterday and said that Russia was trying to maximize its strategic position around the world at the expense of the United States. I'm all in favor of having better relations with Russia, but I think they should be on our terms. What are your thoughts? And should the president, in this, aside from the beautiful letter that he received from Vladimir Putin and the phone call that they exchanged, should he have brought up things like cybersecurity?
Well, I don't think we know what was brought up. It was a private conversation. I would say this, is I think Trump will negotiate from a position of strength with Russia. But I think Trump is a realist in the sense that he understands that Russia's had a base for 50 years in Syria. They're not going away. If there's a way we can work together on some issues such as terrorism, we ought to. And I think that we've had some naive sort of utopians that believe, oh, we're going to push Russia out of the Middle East and we're going to bop them in the nose and we're going to have a no-fly zone. Hillary Clinton's advocacy for a no-fly zone was ridiculous on the face of it, but also so bellicose that it threatened to start World War III, and so were many of the Republicans. So I think that what you're going to find from Trump is that he will negotiate from a position of strength with Russia, but he's not going to automatically have unrealistic, utopian, and naive notions such as we're going to shoot their planes down. For goodness sakes, we went through 70 years, and what I think is funny is that all the calm, cool hands from, the State Department in the past who don't like Donald Trump, you know what? I think he's much more realistic realistic than they are, because shooting down Russian planes should never really be something that we have people in high office advocating for.
Do you trust Vladimir Putin?
No, I don't think that's a way to put it. I think when you negotiate from a position of strength, you understand that he's an adversary, but you also understand that that's what diplomacy's for. We don't necessarily need so much diplomacy with England. Obviously we do, but we see things so much alike that we're not trying to bridge our differences. With people who are your adversaries, like Russia, we do need diplomacy to try to show both through strength and through negotiation that we can find a common ground. But we don't say we're going to shoot their planes down and have a no-fly zone. And I think that was such an unrealistic concept. And it's part of the reason I think Hillary Clinton lost, is that her advocacy for regime change really sounded more like the George W. Bush administration than anything else.
Senator Rand Paul, thank you very much for being on the show this morning.
Thank you.